Have you ever felt like you're saying too much and getting too little in return? Maybe it was a secret that got betrayed, a dream that was dismissed, or a judgment that made you doubt yourself. What would happen if you learned to hold back and in doing so became stronger? In today's world, we're encouraged to share everything, our emotions, our goals, even our deepest thoughts. But Stoicism teaches the opposite, that silence, discretion, and solitude are like armor, protecting you from unnecessary harm. The journey to becoming the strongest and freest version of yourself doesn't begin when others finally understand you. It begins the moment you truly understand yourself. When you look inward and confront the quiet truth, you'll realize the answers aren't out there in the noise of the world. They've always been within you, and on that journey, Stoicism, an ancient philosophy once practiced by emperors, warriors, and thinkers, will serve as a trustworthy map. It won't just help you stand firm in the storms of life, it will also guide you above the chaos of the world, toward clarity and inner peace. Welcome to this new video, where we don't just talk about a way of life, we live it. Today, we're diving into 9 core Stoic principles that can help you stay grounded and wise in a world full of chaos and pressure. How do you avoid being swept away by the whirlwind of negative emotions? How do you keep your calm when everything around you seems designed to pull you off balance? These principles aren't just theory. They're practical compasses to help you take charge of yourself and live a life with direction and depth. If you feel like what you're about to hear might help your life in some way, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and drop a comment saying, "Keep it up," to give us a little motivation to keep this journey going. And now, let's begin. Lesson 1. Don't talk about your struggles. The Stoic secret to turning adversity into triumph. Welcome, fellow seekers of wisdom and inner strength through Stoic philosophy. This first lesson invites you to shift your entire perspective on the challenges you're facing. It begins with one deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative principle. Don't talk about your struggles. At first glance, this might sound harsh, even unreasonable. You may wonder, does that mean I can't open up when I'm struggling? Am I not allowed to express my emotions to feel relief? The answer is yes, you can share. But the Stoics urge us to examine how we share and why we do it. Instead of using complaints as a way to release pressure, they choose to cultivate strength from within by staying grounded, focused, and action-oriented. The Stoics believed that life is inherently unpredictable, filled with everything from minor setbacks to life-altering events. But what truly matters isn't the event itself, it's your response. To them, challenges are not enemies, but opportunities to forge character. As Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." So rather than talking endlessly about your difficulties, do something about them. Build a quiet strength, unspoken, unshowy, but powerful enough to keep you steady in the face of adversity. Picture this. You're grappling with a stressful project at work. Will venting about it make it easier? Or will it just drain your energy and pull others into your frustration? But if you silently break the task into steps, map out a clear plan, and persist with quiet determination, Not only will the project move forward, but you'll also be sculpting a stronger version of yourself. Perspective shapes outcome. Up close, a problem may seem like a towering mountain. But step back, and it might just be a small bump in your journey. Say you're stuck in traffic during rush hour. You could fume and curse your luck. Or you could turn on an inspiring podcast, practice mindfulness, or simply enjoy a rare moment of stillness. That one small shift can change your entire energy for the rest of the day. A Stoic challenge for you. Next time something throws you off, leaves you confused, hurt, or tired, don't react impulsively. Instead, pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what can I control right now? Start there. Let action, not complaint, be the mark of your strength. Remember, real power isn't about hiding your struggles. It's about facing them calmly. When you choose silence as a space for action, instead of speaking just to be heard, you're training your resolve, the kind of resolve that leads to deep and lasting peace. The art of keeping your secrets. Have you ever felt that by speaking too soon or sharing too much, something beautiful lost its magic or even went off course? That's exactly what Stoic philosophy recognized thousands of years ago. Not everything needs to be spoken. Not everyone deserves to know the deepest parts of you. And most importantly, openness doesn't always equal wisdom. Welcome back to the journey of discovering Stoic wisdom. Today, we step into a subtle yet profoundly practical principle. Do not reveal your secrets. This isn't an invitation to become closed off or suspicious. It's a call to be mindful, discerning, and to better understand the value of discretion in a world that constantly encourages public sharing. Lesson 2. The Stoic view on secrets. Mindful sharing. Stoic thinkers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus believed that your inner world, your thoughts, dreams, vulnerabilities, and ambitions is sacred territory that deserves protection. When you share too much, too soon, or with the wrong people, you not only compromise your privacy, but expose yourself to exploitation, misunderstanding, or even harm. Seneca once said, "If you want to keep a secret, keep it to yourself, because the moment you speak it out, you place trust in another person, and not everyone is conscious or responsible enough to honor that trust." Keeping silent isn't hiding. It's protecting. Think of a secret as a tender seed. If you toss it into a storm of opinions and judgments, how can it possibly grow? But if you protect it, nurture it in silence, and water it with patience, one day it will bloom into something strong and unshakable, ready to face the world. Keeping your innermost thoughts and dreams guarded is not about fear. It's about preserving your mental and emotional sanctuary. It's where you can think freely, grow authentically, and stay focused without interference from external noise or judgment. Choosing the right people to share with. An art of living. This doesn't mean isolating yourself or avoiding connection. On the contrary, Stoicism encourages meaningful connection with people who are truly worthy of your trust. Share with those who are calm, respectful, and reliable. People who don't use your personal stories to judge, compare, or manipulate. So, the real question is, who truly deserves to know the most intimate parts of you? The answer doesn't lie in how long you've known them, but in the depth and integrity of the relationship. The power of self-control, keeping secrets as a discipline. In a social media age where every moment can become public content, the ability to keep things to yourself becomes a rare and powerful strength. The Stoics trained themselves in self-control by mastering what should be said and what should be left unsaid. When you guard your unfinished plans or fragile dreams, you create a safe space for them to mature without disruption. When you delay sharing a vision or goal, you shield it from doubt, criticism, and the subtle negativity that can weaken your inner conviction. A real-life example: nurturing a passion project. Imagine you're beginning a passion project writing a book, launching a business, or learning a new skill to transform yourself. In those early days, you feel energized and inspired. But if you share your idea too early, you might face dismissive questions like, "Do you really think you can pull it off?" Or worse, cold indifference. That feedback can chip away at your motivation. But if you keep it close, you give yourself room to experiment, to fail and refine. And once your project is solid and strong, you can unveil it to the world not to prove anything, but simply to share something meaningful. A Stoic challenge. Practice the art of discretion. Here's your challenge for this lesson. Practice conscious discretion. Before sharing something personal, pause and observe yourself. Ask, why am I sharing this? To connect, to seek advice, or just to be noticed? If your reason isn't clear, step back. Keep it to yourself and let time speak on your behalf. Keeping something private doesn't mean you're being deceptive. It means you recognize the power of silence, and you're protecting what's sacred from unnecessary exposure. A quiet yet profound life. When you live discreetly, your relationships deepen. You learn to share wisely with the right people. Ikitu, the right time for the right reasons. You avoid unnecessary conflict and walk through life with a quiet confidence, not because you have something to prove, but because you have so much worth protecting. You don't need words to validate your worth. When you're true to yourself and know how to guard your inner life, others will feel it like a strong, steady undercurrent that doesn't need to make noise to be felt. And that is the Stoic art of keeping secrets, not to conceal, but to protect, to nurture, and to grow into your most grounded and powerful self. Lesson 3. Don't talk about your achievements. The silent power of humility. Welcome back to our journey with Stoicism. In this lesson, we'll explore a topic that may seem simple, but holds deep influence over how you are perceived in life. Humility, especially in moments when you've accomplished something worth celebrating. You might be thinking, shouldn't I celebrate my wins? Share my success with friends and loved ones? And yes, acknowledging your own efforts is absolutely important. But Stoic thinkers offer a deeper perspective. They don't dismiss success. Rather, they caution us not to become overly focused on showcasing it. Because behind the glow of recognition often hides an invisible trap: dependency. The Stoic perspective. On achievement, Stoics believe that true fulfillment comes from within, not from applause, medals, or numbers on social media. They understand that if you're constantly concerned about what others think, you lose your inner freedom, something far more valuable than any external prize. Epictetus once said, Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. That's the spirit of Stoicism. Let your actions speak for you. Growth doesn't lie in what you say, but in how you live. When you live according to your values, people will notice without you needing to say a word. The metaphor of the humble gardener bund, a gardener, quietly tending to the soil, nurturing every seedling with care. They don't stand in the middle of a busy street bragging about their garden. But come harvest time, the vibrant flowers, soft green grass, and sweet ripe fruits become the loudest testimony of all. They don't need praise because their garden speaks for itself. Likewise in life, when you work with sincerity and dedication, your results will speak volumes. Others will sense your effort, integrity, and the quiet distinction that comes from within, not because you've told them, but because they can feel it through how you live. The trap of external validations. We live in an era where, with a single tap, we can broadcast anything online. And in moments of success, it's easy to fall into temptation. Posting about it, attaching proof, and hoping for likes and praise. But have you ever asked yourself, how long does that happiness last? And if no one responds the next day, will you still feel proud? Stoicism teaches that if your self-worth depends on outside approval, you're placing your identity in someone else's hands. You'll always be chasing validation, feeling valuable only when praised. That means you're no longer in control. You've become a hostage to others' opinions. True, joy comes from within. On the other hand, when you focus on inner progress, when you're simply better than you were yesterday, when you understand yourself more deeply, when you know what truly matters, then the joy is more lasting. It doesn't rely on whether others notice. It's born from your growth and your journey, not just the end result. Think back to the last time you accomplished something important. Maybe it was a personal project, a health challenge, or simply breaking a bad habit. Where did that feeling of satisfaction really come from? Was it from how many people knew, or from the quiet moment when you looked back and realized how far you'd come? A Stoic challenge: let your actions speak. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you achieve something meaningful, try holding it close for a moment. Don't rush to tell everyone. Pause. Thank yourself for the effort. Reflect on the lessons, the near failures, and your perseverance. Then gently move forward toward your next goal. When you live this way, you send a powerful message that your real worth isn't found in applause or accolades. It's found in living a life of purpose, integrity, and constant self-improvement. Transition to the next lesson. Living humbly doesn't mean living invisibly. It means living with strength. When you stop seeking outward approval, you begin to hear your inner voice more clearly. And once you no longer need to announce your achievements to feel worthy, you'll uncover another profound truth. Not everyone deserves to know the plans you quietly nurture in your heart. Lesson 4. The power of strategic silence. Keeping your next move. A secret now, we step into a deeper dimension of personal growth. The ability to keep your plans to yourself. Just like a chess master who never reveals their tactics, you move quietly, piece by piece, while the world tries to guess your next move. You may have thought sharing my goals will keep me motivated and accountable. That's true, but it's not always the wisest choice. The Stoics teach that some things grow stronger when kept private. Why? Because in that silence, you're protecting the seed of your dream from the storm of doubt, pressure, and misguided advice. The Stoic view on future plan stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and accept what we cannot. The future is uncertain, and every time you speak your plans out loud, you open the door to outside influences like expectations from others, fear of judgment, or even premature pride. Philosopher Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, instead of broadcasting your plans, execute them quietly and steadily. It is action, not words, that proves your strength. Why should you keep your plans to yourself? To protect your focus. Sharing your goals too early can scatter your energy. Conflicting advice, doubt from others, and unspoken expectations can derail your original path. Keeping things private creates a pure space where all your energy can be directed toward execution, not explanation. To avoid premature satisfaction. The brain has a peculiar trait. When you talk about your goal, it gives you a subtle sense of accomplishment even before you've done anything. This can reduce your motivation to act. Silence helps you preserve the hunger that drives you until your goal is fully realized. To cultivate inner authority. Depending on external validation drains your inner strength. When you keep your plans to yourself, you're forced to trust your own judgment, make decisions, and take responsibility. That's where true maturity and resilience are forged. Real-life example. When quiet action is strategy. Imagine you're starting a small business, hoping to turn it into a full-time pursuit. If you talk about it too soon, you may face negativity, like that idea won't work, or comparisons that leave you discouraged. But if you quietly begin laying the foundation, when you finally launch, your results will speak louder than any doubt. Or consider training for a marathon in secret. If you announce your plans right away, people might ask, "Why haven't you posted any progress?" Or, "Are you sure you can run the full distance?" But if you stay silent, you can grow at your own pace, make mistakes, and correct them without fear of judgment. This is the power of strategic silence. It doesn't just shield you from negativity. It helps you stay aligned, guided by your own instincts, strength, and awareness. Lesson 5. A Stoic challenge for you. The next time you're about to share a plan, a bold idea, or an exciting dream, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, will this truly bring me closer to my goal? Or is it just satisfying a craving for instant recognition? Will it empower me or quietly make me dependent on others' feedback? If the answer isn't, choose silence. Let your actions write the story, not your words. Silence is not avoidance, it is strategy. Remember, keeping something to yourself isn't lying. It is a way of protecting your dream during its most fragile stage. It is focus. It is discipline. It is the courage to stay centered while others chase approval and attention. When you master strategic silence, you give yourself the space to grow naturally, deeply, and sustainably. You don't need the world's applause to move forward, because every step you take already carries the weight of belief. in a world where gossip spreads faster than truth, where conversations often revolve around others' mistakes rather than our own growth, choosing not to speak ill of someone becomes a real challenge. But for the Stoic, this isn't just a moral principle. It is a path to inner peace and lasting strength. Why avoid gossip and drama? In the age of social media and reality TV, mocking and criticizing others has become daily entertainment. But Stoics understand one thing: our energy is limited. If we keep spending it on pointless talk, we'll have none left to build something meaningful. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." It is a powerful reminder. Let your life speak for itself. Don't waste time judging others when that time could be spent improving yourself. Every minute spent judging is a minute not fully lived. Picture this. You're sitting in a cafe and people around you are gossiping about someone who isn't there. Do you feel like you're learning anything useful? Or are you being swept into a wave of negativity? Every moment spent criticizing others is a moment not invested in your own growth. It is like standing on the sidelines, watching others fall, instead of moving forward on your own path. The Stoics urge us to turn inward. Ask yourself, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I better today than I was yesterday? That's the reflection that truly matters. Words shape environments. Have you ever worked in a place where people constantly talk behind each other's backs, compete unethically, and trust no one? It is draining, isn't it? Now, imagine the opposite. A space where everyone stays focused, encourages one another, and avoids judgment. That's the kind of environment Stoics aim to create. A place where words nurture, not harm. Your strength doesn't lie in how sharply you can judge others, but in your ability to resist that urge and instead foster a mindset of compassion, understanding, and personal growth. A Stoic challenge. Step back from gossip. Next time you hear someone speaking negatively about another person, try not to join in. Even staying silent is a powerful act. If possible, steer the conversation in a different direction, or simply smile and return to your task. When you choose not to tear someone down, to lift yourself up, you're setting a new standard for how to live. And that quiet strength will make you stand out, not loudly, but powerfully. Lesson 6. Don't boast about your good deeds. When kindness doesn't need a stage, from learning to control negative speech. We now move on to another equally important lesson. Don't boast about your good deeds. Have you ever helped someone, donated to charity, or participated in a community project and felt the urge to share it with others? That's completely natural. But from a Stoic perspective, there is a unique beauty in acts of kindness that remain unspoken. When goodness shines on its own. Stoics believe that true kindness must come from pure intention, without expecting anything in return, without waiting for praise. As the philosopher Seneca once said, the reward for a good deed is having done it. In other words, the act itself is the reward, not the applause or admiration of others. Picture a small stream quietly nourishing the forest. It doesn't need recognition, yet all life around it is grateful. Your kindness should be the same, natural, unshowy, yet life-giving to the world. The trap of recognition In today's social media age, it's easy to get swept up in posting our kindness. A photo handing out gifts, a touching video capturing a heartfelt moment. While the original intent may be to inspire, it can sometimes unintentionally turn into a performance. The Stoics would remind you, true virtue comes from within, from motives untouched by the eyes of others. When you give simply because it is right, the joy you receive is deeper and longer lasting than any form of public praise. A Stoic challenge: humility in action. Next time you do something good, try keeping it to yourself. Don't post it. Don't tell too many people. Just knowing it in your heart and the person you helped knowing it is more than enough. The joy you'll feel in that quiet space is unlike any other. It is not just happiness. It is spiritual maturity. You are living in alignment with your values without needing the spotlight. Lesson 7. The Stoic Shield, protecting your vulnerabilities and building inner strength. In a time where people are encouraged to express, share, and reveal their true emotions, the idea of guarding your weaknesses may sound contradictory, perhaps even seen as insincere. But Stoic philosophy doesn't ask you to be fake or wear a mask. It simply invites you to be selective, mindful, and strategic about what you reveal to the world. Because not everyone is trustworthy, and not every act of sharing brings healing. Weakness, a sensitive territory that must be protected. Better are a city. Your weaknesses are the unfinished walls, the unfortified gates. If you throw open every entrance, you're essentially inviting enemies into your core. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, a man who exposes his weaknesses to the world is like a city without walls. This statement doesn't promote dishonesty. It's a warning. When you carelessly expose your most fragile parts, you put yourself at risk. The difference between flaws and weaknesses. Before we go further, it's important to distinguish these two seemingly similar concepts. Flaws are imperfections, gaps in character, habits, or skills. They are visible, acknowledged, and can be improved through effort. Weaknesses, on the other hand, are emotional cracks, places where you are vulnerable, easily overwhelmed, or manipulated. And not everyone should know about them. A Stoic is unafraid to face their flaws. They learn from them, adapt, and grow. But when it comes to weaknesses, they stay silent, observant, protective, and quietly work on reinforcement. The power of silence. When saying nothing is the strongest move, silence is not avoidance. It is a deliberate form of power. Imagine you are someone who easily feels anxious under work pressure. If you tell your co-workers or boss what might happen, maybe they'll understand. But it's also possible you'll be seen as weak, given more pressure, or even exploited. But if you keep that to yourself and quietly build resilience through meditation, disciplined time management, learning to say no, soon you will not only overcome it, but you'll have built a stronger inner fortress than ever before. The Stoic challenge: turn weakness into the foundation of strength. The lesson here is not that you're forbidden from feeling weak, but that you must be wise about when and with whom you share that weakness. Use silence as a tool for reflection, understanding, strategy, and growth. If you are quick to anger, don't broadcast it. Learn to observe your emotions. If you're deeply affected by criticism, don't share that vulnerability everywhere. Build inner strength by recognizing your own worth. Let your quiet actions speak louder than your words. Because in stillness, you forge willpower. In the dark, you build your own light. A shield is not for hiding. It is for growth. Guarding your weaknesses doesn't make you fake. It helps you choose the right moment to show yourself in a healthy way. It's a sign of self-respect, discipline, and emotional mastery. The wise know when to open up and when to hold back. They can tell who will walk with them toward healing and who will use their pain as a weapon. When you learn to maintain your inner boundaries, you're no longer swept away by fleeting emotional storms. You become a fortified city, a warrior with armor, a soul calm and grounded, untouched by what doesn't deserve your pain. Lesson 8. The Silent Dream. Nurturing your vision in the stillness of the soul. That you have come to understand the power of protecting what is fragile within you, we step into a very special realm, the world of dreams. All of us carry dreams, some big, some small. Some dream of starting a business. Others long to write a book. Some want to build a charity organization. But have you ever shared your dream too early, only to be met with doubtful looks, criticism, or even jealousy? The Stoics advise, let your dream be nurtured in silence. Do not rush to bring it into the light before it has grown deep roots. Why shouldn't we speak of our dreams too early? Because dreams are delicate territory. They are tied to your truest self, your desires, your ideals, and the most personal parts of your soul. When shared with the wrong people, dreams can be questioned, dismissed, or ridiculed, and that can make you doubt yourself and lose your passion. Because true motivation comes from within. When you keep your dream to yourself, you pursue it for its own sake, not for applause or approval. That inner flame may be quiet, but it is resilient. But if you share too much too soon, you may start relying on external support and feel lost when others do not understand or agree. Because great things take time. Speaking too soon can trick your brain into feeling like you have accomplished something already, even before you have truly begun. That false sense of progress can distract you, drain your patience, or even make you give up halfway. A real-life example. The power of silence. Let's say you dream of creating an organization to help underprivileged children. You tell your friends and family only to hear, "Who has time to work for free?" Or, "I can barely manage my own life." Those words feel like tiny needles, deflating the balloon of your hope. You hesitate, but imagine if, instead, you quietly wrote your plan, connected with the right people, and started small. Each step waters the seed, and when the time is right, you will not need to convince anyone. Your results will speak for themselves. The Stoic challenge. Guard your dream like a gem. Next time you are excited about a big idea, pause and ask yourself, will sharing this now bring me closer to the goal, or will it just distract and discourage me? Keep it close to your heart, like a pearl hidden within. Nurture it daily through quiet action, and when it is strong enough, let it shine, not with noise, not with proof, but with presence. And once you have learned to stay silent through trials, to guard your weaknesses, and to nurture your dreams in quiet, you have already touched the essence of Stoic wisdom. But there is still one final lesson, subtle yet powerful, the strength of solitude. A place where you not only dialogue with the world, but learn to have a deep, unshakable conversation with yourself. Lesson 9. The Refuge of Solitude. Embracing the power of inner stillness. Greetings to those seeking peace amidst the rush of life. If you've ever felt exhausted by the noise, endless conversations, or the need to constantly fit in, then this lesson is for you. In today's world, where every moment is filled with notifications, social media, calls and messages, solitude, being alone in silence, is often misunderstood. It's commonly associated with negative images, loneliness, boredom, or even weakness. But to the Stoics, solitude is not isolation or escapism. It is a conscious return to the self, a deliberate step away from the noise to hear your inner voice. The Stoics and solitude Stoic philosophers understood that true self-awareness doesn't come from talking to others, but from silent dialogues with ourselves. They knew that in silence we find the space to reflect, to confront our thoughts, fears and longings, all that truly makes us who we are. No interruptions, no judgment, just you, facing the truth. Seneca, one of the most renowned Stoic thinkers, once said, "Loneliness is the poverty of self. Solitude is the richness of self." And that's the essence. Solitude is a treasure. It doesn't weaken us. It strengthens us. It doesn't make us feel empty. It reminds us that we've always had enough. Why should we treat solitude as sacred? Let's explore 3 reasons why the Stoics saw solitude as sacred and worth protecting. Protecting your inner sanctuary. Solitude is like a quiet room within your soul. A space where you can close the door, sit down, and truly breathe. It's a place where you don't have to play a role. You don't have to be strong, cheerful, or funny. You just have to be you. When you share too much about these sacred moments, your morning meditation, your time of awareness in nature, you risk being pulled away from your center. Compliments, curiosity, or even innocent questions from others can dilute the experience. It becomes less of a sanctuary and more of a performance. By keeping your solitude to yourself, you're building a fence to protect your soul. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Some things only bloom in silence. Avoiding misunderstanding and misjudgment. Not everyone will understand why you need an afternoon alone, speaking to no one. Not everyone will get why you prefer a forest walk over a party. And that's okay, you add it too. Preserve your inner peace. It's better not to explain. The more you explain, the more you invite others into a journey that is deeply personal. The Stoics knew that by keeping solitude private, you not only avoid being misunderstood, you also avoid the need for approval. You don't need anyone to validate your stillness. You do it because you know it's right for you. Cultivating inner strength. When you sit in silence alone, you're forced to face every part of yourself, the ones you love, and the ones you're still avoiding. But through that honesty, you begin to understand yourself more deeply. And from there, you become stronger. You stop needing constant advice. You're no longer swayed by others' emotions. You begin finding answers from within. And that's when true strength begins. Solitude is like an honest mirror reflecting you without judgment, without filters, without pressure. And when you learn to sit comfortably in solitude, you're not just training to face yourself, you're building the foundation for all other relationships in life. Real-life examples of the quiet power of solitude. Imagine someone who meditates for 10 minutes every morning. No one knows. They don't post about it online, don't tell their friends, don't talk about the experience. But because of that practice, they become calmer under criticism, clearer in decisions, and more compassionate when others make mistakes. Or picture someone who enjoys walking alone every evening. No headphones, no phone, just footsteps and the sound of nature. That's when they recharge, and it's also when their most creative ideas and biggest decisions emerge. If they invited someone to join, that moment would vanish, because solitude cannot be shared. It's meant for one person. You too can have these sacred experiences, and you have every right to keep them just for yourself. A Stoic challenge: make solitude a sacred daily practice. Starting today, ask yourself, where is my moment of solitude in the day? Maybe it's 5 quiet minutes sipping tea, or 10 minutes of journaling at night. A walk without your phone, turning off notifications and simply sitting still. Whatever form it takes, protect those moments like you're guarding the wellspring of your inner life. Don't feel guilty for needing time alone. Don't think you're strange for choosing silence in a noisy world. Solitude isn't an escape from life. It's the path back to yourself. When you practice this regularly, you'll feel yourself change. You'll become calmer in conflict. You'll know how to self-soothe during sadness. You'll listen without judgment. And most importantly, you'll begin to feel safe, not because the world is perfect, but because you are grounded within. And this is the final lesson in our 9 Stoic principles, but also the one that opens the deepest journey of all the journey, back to your inner self. Summary: the journey to becoming the wisest and most grounded version of yourself. We've just completed a journey that wasn't easy, but was deeply worthwhile. The 9 Stoic life principles are not trendy advice or abstract philosophy. They are practical guides that help you stay mentally strong in a chaotic world, preserve your identity amidst pressure to conform, and maintain inner peace through life's turbulence. Have you noticed? Each principle is like a brick, and together they build a solid foundation for your life. You didn't dwell on challenges, you focused on action. You didn't boast about your success, you cultivated humility. You didn't reveal your secrets, you protected your inner core. You didn't let your dreams be judged, you kept your inner fire alive. And through it all, you learned how to be still, grounded, and grow from within. Life will continue to test you with disappointment, misunderstanding, envy, pressure, and doubt. But now you have principles to face them. No need for loud reactions. No need to prove anything. You just need to know who you are and live that truth every single day. Remember, Stoicism is not about avoiding emotions, but learning to lead them. Not about suppressing pain, but learning to walk through it with peace. Not about forcing yourself to appear strong, but standing still without being shaken. And that is the true power of a wise life. Practice, not just understanding. Knowledge remains theory until it's lived out in real life. So if you truly want these Stoic principles to transform your life, Start by practicing one small thing each day. A moment of silence without your phone. One time, choosing not to complain. A compliment given without needing recognition. A plan you keep just for yourself. A pain you wrap in quiet patience. You don't have to do everything. Just be consistent with one thing, because it's consistency that leads to true transformation. Thank you for making it this far. Thank you for walking with me through this 9-part Stoic journey. These were not just videos. They were a spiritual path, a journey inward, becoming someone who is unshaken by circumstances, free from the need for external validation, and brave enough to live authentically. If this journey has been valuable to you, share it with someone who needs an anchor in their life. Leave your thoughts in the comments or simply type the word stillness as a way of affirming that you are living, you are growing, and you are becoming wiser every day. See you in the next videos where we'll continue exploring quiet strength, presence, and the courage to live true in an increasingly noisy world. Stay steady in mind, stay steady in heart, and stay steady in who you are.